their specific kit, but theirs is different. It's kind of weird, right? So anyway, this is probably your best bet, is going with a Mark 1 kit right here. And I think they have a 2020 frame that you can buy, and it comes with some extra stuff, which I think yeah, what I would do is go for the regular kit and then buy a DLL PDF frame. I love Tiny T. Tiny T is pretty cool, but Tiny T, I feel like there's a minimum price to build like a Voron, right? There's like a minimum threshold, and it's still pretty expensive. It's like over 600. This right here is probably the cheapest. Yeah, I'll say that. This is the cheapest extrusion-based printer. And I can't say that. One of the cheapest extrusion-based printers that you can easily build. Because there's some Ender 3 conversion kits, but that has a lot going on to it. Cell fork's attractive. Yeah, the 120 cell fork will be pretty nice. Or I say 120, 180. I don't know if I'm building one of those yet. That's not even in my plans. I want a V-core for a cell fork. And the Micron, poor Micron, still needs to be rebuilt. Bugboo, yeah, Bugboo still exists. There's a bunch of printers that exist with various amounts of refinedness, and it's really difficult to, like, at this point, to recommend specific printers, because I don't have a lot of experience with a lot of the kind of entry-level printers. So maybe that's what we can do in the future, is get every single up-to-date entry-level printer and then put them side by side and say, you know, this one is better for you, this one's better for you. 5015 is not fun, no. I've heard a lot about Ender NG. So this printer right here, this is a Rook 2020. It is probably the easiest printer to build. One of the easiest ones to build. Because the frame, I just put the frame together in 5 seconds. This is the Mark II. You'll see there's no front rail here. And there's no belts. It's completely open. This thing is gonna be awesome. This is probably about as big as you can get it without causing significant issues. I might add 2 like support beams here just to add a little bit of stability. Yeah, why not? I just don't want anything going across here. I hate having beams. Maybe like 1 right down here would be a good idea, but I unfortunately didn't get the extra one. I should have just got the Mark 1 kit. Hey Silverback, I'm so sorry, but welcome on in. Hope you're doing all right. New build or rebuild? It is going to be a rebuild. We're using a new frame. Pretty much. So I have all my new printed parts. We are going with... Oh, what color is this? Ooh, I have a little bit of a random blue bit on here. This is the metallic dark red from Polymaker. Got a weird little blue spot right here. It's okay, keep me hidden. So that color right there combined with the white for the Rook logos. So everywhere there's a Rook logo, I'm printing these on the Mini. And so far it's coming out pretty good. It's all PLA. The printer is designed to be printed in PLA. I've printed many of them PLA in the past, and it works great. PLA is actually a great material for this because it's super stiff. ABS is kind of flexy. It's weird. So I have the Move this. All right, so we're gonna have the rear motor mounts, I think, go like that, and one on the other side. Yeah, that looks right. So like that. Hey, Frostbite, how's it going? So that looks like that. I have the gantry right here. I'm not going with the combined one. I'm just doing the stock for now. So that'll go back and forth on rails. I printed off the little so there's tensioners now. That's awesome. It's actual tensioners. So the motors are hopefully rigid mounted, but you have these tensioners that go in the front like that. So there we go. It'll look like that. Pretty cool. I'm super excited for it. I am converting this off of my in need of desperate repair Rook. This thing has seen some days. I brought it to Murph last year and it like completely got destroyed, and then I rebuilt a bit of it, and then I need to work on it. It has poly smooth parts still from Rocky Mountain. So I'm gonna take most of the guts from this and transfer it over. That's the goal. I think I might be using Fabrico stuff with this. Yeah, this is the Fabrico kit essentially. So this will be a Fabrico-ish kit rebuild. So that'll be fun. Belts need to be replaced. That's fine. Yeah, it's all right. I'll take it. I got some belts. But I already got the rails. I got 200s. That should work perfect. I got the Rolohan motors. I'll keep those. They'll probably be fine. Oh, I should get that new motor from LDO. The one that's even released. The one for the Z-axis. I'm going to be doing it geared anyway, so it'll probably be fine. I'm going to do the geared motion on it. That'll be a lot of fun. So yeah, gotta take this thing apart. Electronics wise, I'm not 100% sure. What is it designed for, actually? That's a great question. Oh good, this print's done. What is the BOM for the Rook 2020? What do they call them for? AKA, what do they have modeled in? Because I hate modeling. I could probably get Canrock to update it, but electronics. SKR Mini. Cool. Yep, I can just use an SKR Mini. And then what about what do they have modeled in for the, where is the Rook? Oh, it's not, it's in a separate tab. For like the controller. Like, do they have a good spot for, where's the CAD? For like a Pi or something? That was the biggest issue with a lot of the original Rooks. They were designed for one specific use case, but nothing else. If you want to add like a big power supply, you couldn't. So with this, apparently the power supply gets mounted in here. I still don't know how that works yet. But there's a power supply that'll go under here, full size, under 3. And I don't know what this is for. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff missing from here that I don't know where stuff goes. So we'll be using this board, but like, where does the pie mount? Can a pie even mount in here? I don't know. Because you need something, right? Like, you're on with a Big Tree Tech pad, 7, but that's not ideal. Manta M8P. Well, a 5 would be perfect in here. Like, maybe I'll have them design a bottom plate so I can use the 5, which is smaller than the M4P for some reason. Or I think I still have the M4P on the backpack. I did really like the backpack mod. It seems like they would work for this. So instead of having electronics in the bottom, you have a backpack with your main controller board. That worked out perfect. So maybe I'll do that for this one. Just use that same exact backpack design that Kenrog made. I don't know if it's anywhere. Well, we'll figure that out later. This is still pretty much in planning. So what's not in planning is... Ooh, that did not print well. That's weird. I did a couple of good prints from this cookie CAD. And now it's like... What did I do to this? Like, extrusion multiplier is like way off. Huh. Very strange. Still be usable, but does not look pretty. Strange. Had a Cyborg underwire conversion kit. Make a front box with screen and pie inside. That's possible, yeah. It's just, you know, I would like everything to be contained. That's the big thing about a 3D printer. I kind of want it to be all kind of there. And the backpack makes a ton of sense because you can kind of see it on here, whatever's left of this. But here's the backpack, right? It's just right on the back. There's already motors here, so it doesn't stick out past where the motors would go. It's perfect to have one on there. So maybe I'll look back into that. Let's see. I'll message him now. For the control board, backpack's the best. I think so. I certainly think so. Well, now that I get this, we can start the show. It doesn't look pretty, but it's functional. Functional prints are the best prints. So this will go on top. Let's put this aside for now. So I'll be working, I'll probably, I don't know. I still don't know what printers I'm bringing with me in 2 weeks to Maker Faire. If I get this thing done, I certainly want to bring it just because I think it's cool. Oh. This didn't even start printing because I was like in the loading menu process. Oh. Okay, right. And I know it's touchscreen, but I haven't bothered using the touchscreen. I like forget that it's a touchscreen. What was I saying? Oh yeah, printers. I'm gonna try to get this done. I just think it's cool looking, so if we can get it working, it actually doesn't take up a lot of space, which is really nice. It's tall, but won't take up a lot of space on a table. So, Matter Hacker's never shipped my 5M, so I'm not gonna have one of those. And in terms of other printers, I was thinking of maybe bringing the Trident, maybe, if I can get that thing all, no, that would be, this thing's a lot of work. Maybe the Prusa, honestly, because again, it's a pretty nice, reliable printer. Oh, and the A1 Mini, maybe with the AMS, probably without. So those are my 3 printers that I'm planning. Also gonna have a laptop showing off stuff, and I'm gonna be printing off a few things to bring as well, including the train set. So I gotta get on that, it's coming right up. Last thing before we get started on this build. I'm working on the shed outside. It's coming together pretty good. Should have that done tomorrow, which means hopefully in a few weeks. My goal is after Maker Faire and before Murph, I want to do some stream in the new studio. That's a pretty conservative, not conservative, opposite of conservative timeline. It's a very, very fast timeline. So maybe after Murph, but I'd love to start doing something before Murph. Aggressive, thank you. Words. I didn't have coffee this afternoon. A shed show. I wanted to stream building it, but it's very, I bought this shed off of Amazon quality of needing to put stuff together. So take some concentration. Yeah, optimistic, right? I want to be optimistic, but there's still a lot of stuff to do. But in terms of recording, once I have this shed built, I'll move out as much stuff as I can into there so I can free up as much space as possible, put stuff into containers. Then I'm gonna order a set of butcher blocks for the main huge, like I'm talking 4 foot by 7 foot table. That's like the size of this room is gonna be my presenting table. And then I'm going to install the butcher block on there, just as a really nice workspace. I like this is nice, but I'd rather have just plain straight up wood. And I didn't mind what was under here, but it's super glossy and shows the lights really good. So I think the butcher block will kind of mask the lights. I don't know what I'm gonna finish it with, but we'll figure that out later. I'll just use it as is for now. So yeah, just gonna start streaming out there, and I'm gonna order the cabinets and start organizing and take it one step at a time. Actually, last question before we start, I promise. Would you guys be interested in watching a little bit of like construction / woodworking? Wouldn't be for YouTube, but it would be for here, because I need to build all of the shelves for my printers. I'm building 24-inch deep shelves, custom, my design, out of 2x4s and MDF and all that stuff. So I think that'd be a lot of fun. And I'll have most of my time at night to do it, so might as well just stream it. Sounds like deep storage. Not the deep storage that I want. It's one printer deep, which isn't very deep. It's deep shelves, but it's not deep storage. When I'm referring to deep storage, I'm talking about having accessible parts stacked deep. But I know you're trolling. Don't use MDF. Oh, you should see my workshop. I love using MDF. Just don't get it wet, right? Like, that's the thing. Don't use it like on the ground, and don't use it like outside. Otherwise, it does work really good. And I actually have a lot of it for whatever reason. It was practically free, so I ordered a couple sheets, and now I'm like, why did I buy sheets of MDF? But just for shelves, Yeah, it's very flat. So I have 4x8 sheets, I'm gonna rip in half, and then I'll have that to work with. That's actually what I'm using right now for my my current to be destroyed shelves in there. Will it be printed or built? Oh, shelves? Definitely built. I might do some printing for it, but I haven't decided that yet. I don't know. I could do something like the easy build method with 2x4s, but I am so used to just building shelves out of like 2x4s and stuff. Like this desk right here is my patented easy to build shelf system, not shelf system, workshop bench system. Because it has the sideways 2x4 in the front you can clamp to, but it's still nice and strong. Little ad for my ultimate table. But more on that later. Let's start with this right here. I'm gonna do a recording for YouTube just as an update. Probably won't be super long, but I'll work on the motion system and upload that. Will I be streaming it? Yeah, that's what I'm asking. Do you want me to? Because I can. Wow, neither of these printed great. Oh, lovely. Oh well, it's functional and you can't see it, so that's okay. 'Tis okay. But I wanted to make sure before I go live that everything still fits fine. That goes right here. Do it? All right. Might as well. This has to get done. I know Nero just had a sorting stream type of thing, which is generally what you do when you start running out of content, which is funny. I think this is correct. It doesn't really matter which way it goes, to be honest. It's a triangle. It's all symmetrical. Doesn't matter. So our Big Tree Tech board will go here. I need to get or print standoffs. I might have some standoffs somewhere, but our pie, oh, my pie's upstairs. Let me go grab that. The pie's gonna go on top of that. It's the first time I'll ever have used the intended use case for Pico, which is stacking a pie on top. It's funny. All right, we got the good old Big Tree Tech pie. I had one somewhere. I don't know where it went. And then I'll have an update for the other pie yet, but this is probably the cheapest way right now to get Clipper working on a non-Manta board. Because this is 30 bucks and it's a pie. So not cost efficient when you have both this and a controller board, but it's a good option. Comes with a nice heatsink too, and a duck. And then some wires. What is the wire for? What is the wire for? Is that to connect to here? It wouldn't be, right? Yeah, I have no idea how to connect these two together. But this will mount right on top. The holes line up perfectly. BTT Pi 2. Yeah, is that... I didn't see anything about that. Is that releasing? Is that out yet? Should probably talk to my rep, but I have a CB2. Or, sorry, CB2. Compute module is the official one. It's releasing. Is it out though? Can I? Because I couldn't buy one, at least on Amazon. I wasn't gonna wait for Ali. Yeah, I know, it messes me up too. CB1, CB2, CB who? What? Where, when, why? Alright, I think we're not going to touch the motors at all today. I think we're just going to do the... Yeah, we'll do the inside part, if that makes sense. But I can talk about what we're using. You guys ready? 2 hours later, definitely not procrastinating. Yep, that was right. That was right. Let's do this. So, as always, I respond a lot less to random questions. So if you have any questions, keep them till after the recorded video. The giveaway will be done after the recording is done as well. I don't like to do that during the video if I'm gonna record it. So keep that in mind. I don't know when I'm ending this. It could be an hour, it could be an hour and a half. But I'm gonna try not to spend too much time today on this. It'll be some fiddling, there'll be some fun. You guys definitely like to you like to see all the random fiddling. I know you do. A lot of times I go to build something like, wow, should I really? I'm just gonna do this off stream because I don't even want to. I don't want to show it on stream. It's so much fiddling. But then everyone's like, yeah, fiddle on stream, mess with stuff. Really? Okay. So, that being said, let's begin. This will be recorded and going on YouTube. Hello and welcome to part 2 of the Doron Velta build. Last time I left off back in part 1, check the video description if you missed out on that. I left off with, I think I just built the base in the main frame and I explained where all the parts go, etc. Off camera, actually on Twitch, I streamed putting together the frame, this top section, etc. So if you want to catch those streams live, make sure to subscribe to my Twitch channel. And while you're down there, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and stay tuned for more content. So the Doron Velta, if you missed it, if you're just watching this part, is a kind of a prank build because this is not a Voron printer, but it definitely utilizes a lot of the Voron design methodology. So today, I think we're gonna try to get the rails mounted and the tool head set up. That'll be the main goal. We'll see how far we get into. And because I'm streaming live on Twitch, I have a raid. So welcome in Mayhem. How are you doing today? Hopefully your stream went well. Where do we want to start with this? Probably the linear rails. I think the linear rails will be the best starting point. I'll have to tilt this on its side to make it work the best. Then I'll work on this one right here. Then I'll tilt it and do all the others. So for the rails, I'm using the fantastic West 3D Berserker rails, covered in lube because I just lubed them. These are very smooth and they're very precise. So I've had pretty good luck overall with them. And if you forgot, this build right here is an extra 50 millimeters in the Z-axis because I can't just build a printer that's stock height, apparently. Usually with the Rook printers, I'll build them an extra 50 millimeters or so high because I wanted a little bit of extra build volume out of them. And on a Delta, you lose a lot of build volume. Like, this is a giant printer, but we can print in like less than half of this. So extending it 50 millimeters will give me some more leeway when it comes to printing things, right? So I'm just gonna get going. I got some roll-in nuts right here. Let's build this. Maybe I can zoom in with this camera. And watch me do it. Yeah, there we go. That's not bad. It's mayhem. 2 small Lego sets and a Star Wars. Nice. Very nice. I have a Lego set to do, courtesy of Glendon, pretty soon. That'll be a fun little chill stream. But right now, I got this project to finish, and I'm working on some others. So always a lot of stuff going on, right? So for this one, what I'm doing is, I think a 2mm will work as well, non-ball end. But yeah, 2 will work. I essentially take the roll-in nuts I use my driver and I kind of insert them like that. That seems like the easiest method for me. Alternatively, you can use an M3 and screw it into it and then do it like that. Because I just find you can put them in like this as well, but depending on your frame type, it'll work great or it won't work well at all. The Zaltech extrusions are bigger, so these slide in very easy compared to a LDO or Mizumi style frame. And I'm kind of lining up the rail where it's gonna go. It's gonna go all the way to the top right here. You're looking at the top of the printer. And I'm skipping the top one, I'm going right to the second. So I'm gonna move that one here, put that one here, 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 and here. So kind of that spacing. So typically, when not instructed any other direction, when you're sawing a linear rail, you'll skip every other mounting hole. It's kind of unnecessary to do every single one of them, but I think it's a bit too far out to do it every 3. So 2 seems to be a pretty good compromise when it comes to installing these things. I think we need one more in the end. Also, typically for Voron style rails, you'll have one nut on the very end on one side, and then one that's one away from the end on the other side. That's typically how it works. So I'm just making sure that these are all reasonably lined up. We're gonna get it a little bit more lined up once it's starting to become installed. But there we have each one of those in. Very easy. After using both this and hammerheads, I can strongly recommend getting yourself some roll-in T-nuts with a little ball bearing and a spring on them. They work so good. They stay in place. They're very easy to install, generally speaking. They can be easy. The only downside is they're wider. So in some circumstances, you have to use a standard hammerhead nut, like what we used to install the bottom section here. But overall, it's pretty easy. We're gonna take our Screwfinity unit and grab our M3x8s, which is definitely labeled, just using invisible ink. And then start screwing this in. All right, so I'm gonna get one of these just kind of in there, but not tightened. It's very important not to tighten it yet. And I'm gonna get the other side in as well. So, that's in there. Again, not tightening. So the rail is still perfectly loose on here, but now I need to make sure that all of our nuts are lined up. So what I like to do is I insert my fastener and I wiggle it around a little bit. And that makes sure that the fastener is lined up. So this one, I can't insert it. So what's going on? It's pushed too far that way. So I gotta like move it over a little. So repeat that process for each one. Look down into each one of these, make sure that your hole is lined up. Because once you start tightening this down, you won't get a great way of adjusting those. Let's see. So when you're doing these rails, it's best to start right in the center. You can also use an alignment jig to make sure this thing is centered. That's probably a good idea, isn't it? What I'm gonna do is put it on its... There we go, I can balance it like that. Perfect. I'm gonna put it like that and just kind of eyeball it for now. It's recommended to use a centering tool. Alternatively, you can use, I guess, like a ruler or something. Just make sure that the top and bottom both have the same, they're parallel to the rail. That's your biggest challenge, is getting it parallel. And it'll probably matter on a Delta quite a bit, so I'm just gonna kind of eyeball it. So getting one screw in like this, then one screw in like this. And then just making sure that looks like it's pretty much straight with my calibrated eyes. I'm gonna tighten these both right here. So now this rail is not going anywhere. It's not gonna tilt, and it should be fine to continue. Again, it's best to use a little centering tool. I've actually built a lot of printers where I don't do that, and I kind of adjust it once it's all assembled. But we'll see. This is a Delta, it'll be interesting. So I'm gonna continue to install my screws. I'm just gonna go down. Once you do one in the center, or two in the center, you can just continue down the rail. The issue that you're trying to avoid, I can tilt it back too, is if I put on two screws in the ends and I put one of them in the middle, it might cause it to bow depending on how you install it. So it's actually easier. So by working your way from the inside out, tightening, it makes sure that it's as straight as possible. Because you can quite easily bend one of these rails. And in fact, the rail itself, these rails are designed to be mounted to a kind of calibrated flat piece of like a reference surface. They're not really designed to be mounted on these aluminum extrusions, because aluminum extrusions are not terribly accurate. For the most part, they're good enough for 3D printing, but for professional use, you would mount this against a flat piece of steel. But because these are pretty damn solid, especially in the MGN 12 size, when you get up to that, you can span them quite far. Go. All right, so that's our first rail in. The rail will go to the top to home. I have some end stops, those will mount in later here. I still gotta get them wired up, and then it'll go to the bottom. Be very careful with this right here. You don't want this to fall off. I don't think it's in the CAD, but typically you would install a little stopper block here just to make sure it doesn't fall out. These rails have a pretty high preload, so they won't move on themselves, so I can just leave it here. Just being careful not to drop it out of there. And then we just repeat the process. Easy peasy. Can I tilt this one on its side? Yeah, I kind of can. Not bad. And make sure you have your rails lubed before you start. It'll make it easier. The reason I don't like putting these in by hand is sometimes they'll go in upside down, and it's kind of a pain to get out once they're upside down. There we go. So I'm just gonna put this rail literally right next to it, and then start one away on the top and work my way down. So all the main parts for this were printed on my Trident. And I printed off a few parts on the Bamboo X1 as well. Both of them seem to handle ABS pretty good. I don't think I've had any problems with part fitting. Everything's gone together pretty good. Always more tuning that you can do though. Always, always. Mechanical, software. Dropping my rolling nuts here. This is typically something that I would do off stream just to save time, because it's a little bit tedious, but this is a main part of the build right here. Getting your linear rails on. Rails like this are definitely my preferred method of motion on the printer for a few reasons. Number one, they're fairly easy to install. You just bolt them against an extrusion or even a printed part, and they just work, right? Like, it's the whole motion system's in this rail. It's great. Number two, it's probably one of the smoothest motion systems that you can get. I have this IKO rail from West 3D, and this right here is incredible. See if I can remove it. This right here, it is so smooth. It's like glass. Super, super, super smooth. It doesn't give extra resistance when you slow it down. It's just super, super smooth. It works great. I got to put this on one of my printers, but the actual motion feels smooth, which is a big issue when it comes to other bearing styles. Specifically, the round bearings, the linear, I call them linear rods. I just think they're crunchy, and I can never get them perfectly smooth. The Prusa Mark IV, the bed just, when you move it by hand, just sounds terrible. Whereas linear rails are perfectly smooth. Like the Bamboo A1 Mini, man, that thing is like crazy, crazy solid because it has linear rails. Just the little things you notice. Alright, so let's try to get this thing lined up. It can be difficult at getting end stops in with the rails in place. Really? I thought you were just screwing it into here. Wouldn't you just like screw in an end stop here? Like this? I'm expecting to screw it in like that. And then this, I guess the rail will mount up. Probably the printed part will bump up against it. If I have to undo it, I'll undo it, but we'll start with that for now because there is no guide for this. So I'm just kind of going off the CAD. How much the hardware you couldn't print for this build? Well, the frame itself probably could have been printed if you really wanted to, but for ease of assembly and ease of use, having a little bit of rail, or sorry, extrusion helps you out significantly, right? Like it's much more solid on long spans than any printed part, for the most part, right? All right, let's get this thing lined up by eye, kind of pressing against this printed part and making it look like it's supposed to. I'll probably go back after the stream and properly get these set up. I'd recommend you do it from the beginning, like I said. But, oh, this one doesn't have a hole. Had a couple of those like that. But pretty much everything else is printed. All right, so those are in there pretty tight. You don't have to screw them down crazy tight. You just want to get them snug. I like using these. These are Wera fasteners, or drivers, sorry. I really like these for 3D printing. If you're still using hex keys, I'm so sorry. Get yourself a kit. It doesn't have to be Wera's. It can be a cheaper style like this. Like these work just as good. Just get yourself some inexpensive drivers and they will significantly improve your building experience. In fact, I will leave a link in the video description of some of my favorite drivers that I use. Nope, Digital Dragon, it is not done yet. Not yet. Oh, and yeah, that's another thing. Ball end screws are kind of useless 99% of the time, I find. Because you can't put torque on them. Like, here's a ball end screw. You can't put torque on them because you'll strip the screw for the most part. So they're only useful for getting stuff kind of initially set in, and then you still have to come back with an Allen key or regular flat driver to tighten it up. All right, one more side to do. Again, there's no instructions for this, so I'm just kind of going off of what I would do in the CAD based off other printers. So, I gotta tilt this up, be easier. Once again, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to like this video. It does help out a lot with YouTube's algorithm if you like videos. And I keep mentioning it because I would love these videos to perform well. I have a lot of crazy plans coming up in the future, and I'd like to grow this whole YouTube channel as best as I can in order to do some fun things. So thanks to Polymaker, I'm able to do a lot of these builds, and I will have a brand new studio upcoming thanks to Polymaker. That'll be a ton of fun. I can't wait to unveil that to you guys and show you the new studio. We're gonna have a ton of amazing builds coming up, including the black box build from KB3D. I have other plans as well. There's an ERCF2 kit from Cybor that I have to build. What else am I saving? Oh, the tool changer, all this stealth changer stuff. If you're very, very curious when that's coming, I'm waiting for a couple of revisions, and I'll be filming that once the studio is up and running. So I'm working pretty hard on that. And yes, that's a great suggestion from Twitch chat. Comment on the video. Anything. You can say that you like bananas in the comments, and that'll help out. Comments mean engagement, and engagement means, well, that's a good video. Doesn't necessarily have to be a good video, but if people are commenting and talking about it, then there's something interesting going on at least. So I'm gonna put in one screw on each side just to get it, oh, wrong one. Get it lined up, because I'm not using spacers. Go. Really like the Screwfinity unit for storing these screws. It's like the perfect size little tray, and the ability to just take them out and use them as needed, it's super useful. I'll leave a link to this system down in the description as well. I'm continuously releasing updated and larger sizes, smaller sizes, all the sizes if possible, as well as some specialty organizers as well. So if you are building 3D printers and need to organize screws or other small things like switches, bands, I'll have you covered. Soon, TM. Almost done. Almost done. Guess we're starting at the bottom this time around. Some of the stuff like I said earlier, I typically like to do off stream just because it's a lot of just the same screws, but that's okay. You have a 5x5 Screwfinity printing right now. Nice. 5x5 is a pretty good size. I like, yeah, the 5 wide, I think you can print on a bamboo. That's like the max size. 7 high by 5 wide on a medium version. That's the fun thing about Screwfinity, is that there's so many different potentials for sizes that I have units of depth, I have height by width, and then I have how big the actual drawers are, how tall they are. And on top of that, I have a double wide version. Plus, soon there's gonna be a wall mountable version. Oh man, so many versions. So if there's a specific type of Screwfinity unit you'd like to see, so this handy organizer here, let me know in the video description. If there's a certain size or style for what specific use case, let me know, and I'd love to work on it. I release them all for free, so make them when I can. And I think, speaking of making, I think we've made up all of these rails, so that's fun. Go back to the front here, tilt it up. So if you are using a linear rail, just generally speaking, and the rail falls right to the bottom, generally that means that it doesn't have a high enough preload. Preload is how tight the whole mechanical system is together. So it has more force pressed up against the rail, which means it's harder to move, but also means that there's not as much slop. So there's a pretty good balance of it that has to be, you have to have a good balance for 3D printing. It can't be too tight, but it can't be too loose. So these Berserker rails have a pretty good preload because I can move them nice and smooth, but I can let them sit right here and they don't go anywhere. So that'll be good for trying to get a Delta printer working. So for now, move these carriages all the way to the top just to keep them all there. Now it's starting to look like a printer. Awesome. Couldn't fit the 24 by 18. Yeah, I think I sized it up for the Giga. Forgot I had that in there. These are available on, I believe, Things, and at least one of them is available on Maker World. I'll try to upload more in the future. Right, what's next? So we have that up. I think it's time to work on the tool head. So let's talk about that. So the tool head is very simple. It consists of a hot end. We're using an E3D Revo Voron. I'm using that because it's actually really lightweight, and we're gonna need kind of a lightweight tool head for this Delta. Maybe don't need it, but it's recommended to go lightweight if you can. So we have that, and we have a couple of fans. So we have two. They're smaller than I typically use. These are 3010 fans. So GDS Time 3010s. I got those from West 3D, as well as a 3010 axial. So how do we assemble this? We need a, I'm gonna have to look at the CAD too, because I've never built a mini stealth printer. I've only used Dragon burners previously. So let me pull up the CAD for the printer and take a look. I'm on version 19 right now. Let's see. So here's the hot end.